If Slimy was a person, his name might be Gareth Mnisi. Now we have the finance minister putting forward regulations that may just legalize corruption. And how about the fact that you usually hear about criminals stealing from state-owned companies, but have you heard about state-owned companies stealing from contractors? And how the ANC's disastrous governance helps to build our economy in the strangest of ways. Welcome to the Political Insider. It's so good to have you join us. We hope that you've subscribed to the channel. Let's get into the news of the day. The Madlanga Commission continued to hear from suspended Tshwane CFO Gareth Mnisi. And my word, I know justice is meant to be blind. You're meant to just judge on the facts. But Gareth Mnisi in the witness box is ripping the blindfold off those poor commissioners with his arrogance and his dismissive attitude towards any question that anybody asks of him, whether it's the evidence leader or the commissioners. He's either the smartest guy who ever lived, that's certainly the sort of look he's going for, or he's a crook who's just trying to save his own skin. And I know where I would put my money. But Mr. Mnisi spent half the day defending the fact that when he was helping his self-confessed best friend, Sergeant Fani Nkosi's brother, by advising him how to prepare a tender document, even though he was heading up the bid adjudication committee, he still claimed that this was not interference. He continued to hold the view that there was no conflict of interest in him giving advice to one of the people who were preparing documents that were going to a bid committee when he was in charge of the committee. He even got into a war of words with Justice Madlanga, the most measured man in the world, defending his position as to how helping people win tenders wasn't a conflict of interest. He was also in constant communication, and I presume it's because it is his job, with the Tshwane Deputy Mayor Eugene Modise, a man with many questions to answer. And they were even saying that Modise was telling Mnisi that he had met with Action SA and EFF, and they had told him to have 5 companies tender. And he was saying, that does not sit well with me. We have our list of preferred tenderpreneurs, and we want to stick to them. This guy is busy talking his way into jail. It has to be seen to be believed. He's going to at some point have to explain where he's got all of his wealth from that's led him to have a fleet of cars that's the envy of most showrooms, how he lives in the mansion, all of this on a civil servant salary. But my word, can he argue and can he bloody talk quickly? It's just quite scary to watch. At points you do want to reach into your screen and grab him by the throat. But I will leave that to the commissioners. I think he's in good hands there, and he is making his own future secure. Compliments of Oom Piet. So we'll see how that has to go. Before we continue, you can help us by attending our next State of the Nation breakfast on the 6th of May in Sandton. Dr. Frans Cronje, Bonsai Shongwe, we will be dissecting the country, telling you where it is, where it's heading to. 6th of May, Sandton. You can get all the information you want at our website, sona.co.za, or in the comment section below. Come and join us. It'll be great to entertain you on the day. Now, South Africa is in the grips of corruption hearings. We talk every day about the Madlanga Commission. We talk about a whole lot of crimes, and this one breaking the law and that one breaking the law. Well, our criminals are about to get a helping hand. Comes out of the strangest place, and that is our finance minister, the person who controls the purse strings of the country. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is taking BEE, Black Economic Empowerment, to a new level by publishing new regulations. And these regulations give the government the ability to reserve contracts and tenders up to 100 million rand, to reserve them and give them exclusively to bidders who do substantial businesses with black-owned firms. these contracts are reserved. So in other words, you will have a 99 million rand tender and you're going to say, I'm giving it to this guy because he's got a black-owned firm, 51% black-owned firm, and 40% of their prior procurement was from a black business. Therefore, it's not open to the public. I'm just giving this 99 million rand tender to that company. Right now, this will make the job of the Auditor General absolutely impossible because they will not be able to discern whether it was the best price, the best person to do the job, whether there is value for money. No. The person awarding the tender would just say, this tender we set aside because we know that this company meets that criteria. And I would imagine that right now, Morgan Maumela, Katiso Malefe, Kat Matlala, a range of other policemen, a range of politicians must be licking their lips for this kind of thing. If you've got a contact inside local government, or anywhere in government for that matter, because we've seen police tenders, that are corrupt, you go along and you say, well, my brother, because that's all brothers, and we say, brother, I know that there's a tender, please look after me, So next thing, a 60 million rand job gets given to some service provider based on flimsy criteria. Now, of course, 40% of their procurement must be from black-owned companies. It doesn't say what that procurement might be. It might be a company, as we've seen in many cases, that was only established at that tender. You go and you buy from the local spaza shop, and there's 40% of your turnover. You pay your staff, right? It's just a license to commit absolute criminality and corruption, right? So this has immediately brought two things to my mind. Our current Deputy Minister of Finance is Ashor Sarupan from the Democratic Alliance, and he recently replaced Helen Zille as that party's federal chair. Now, I'm very interested in hearing from Ashor Sarupan as to what he thinks of this kind of regulation coming through the department where he is. Or are they just disregarding their other GNU partners? Now, this law has to pass in Parliament, and it's going to pass easily because the ANC will get support from the other comrades. They'll get support from the EFF, they'll get support from MK, they'll get support from the Patriotic Alliance. So it really makes a mockery of the Government of National Unity, and if anything must lead to the dissolution of the Government of National Unity, it's this. Because as the DA love to say, and I hate to always mention the DA, but they are the most quoted party on this, they wanted to keep the Doomsday Coalition from actually happening. Well, this brings the Doomsday Coalition together, because there is no ways that parties like the DA or the Freedom Front Plus or ACDP or any of those parties would agree with this legislation. But the comrades have the numbers. So this law will pass. But I also thought of the hypocrisy of what Cyril Ramaphosa really recently had to say in reply to Elon Musk's assertion that South Africa has racist policies. Let's have a listen to what President Ramaphosa had to say in response to that.
Elon Musk. I pay very little attention to that because I know our laws are not racist. They are empowerment laws that are meant to empower the various people in our country who were discriminated against.
Now, it's pretty clear that it's very, very difficult to see how you can view this kind of legislation as anything but absolutely pointedly racist. Okay? If you watch that entire clip, Cyril Ramaphosa goes along saying it's all black people, Africans in particular, coloreds, Indians, and white women. Why not just discriminate against white men and finish? You don't need all this other rubbish. Just kick out the white men. It's not that hard. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to City Power. Now, City Power is possibly the most irrelevant company in South Africa, a little bit like South African Airways. except that if South African Airways tried to do a job, they would maybe add value. But City Power, all they do is they take electricity that Eskom is providing to you anyway on the Eskom infrastructure, and the city in which you live in this case, City of Johannesburg, will collect the money, right? And City Power are in the middle for no good reason that anyone can really understand. They don't overly add any value. It's not like they own infrastructure or do billing, or they do nothing. They just get in the middle between Eskom and the city. But if that wasn't bad enough, it's been reported that senior City Power officials have allegedly pointed guns, not buns, because that would be quite nice, but they have pointed guns at contractors and demanded kickbacks. Right? And it comes as no surprise that ANC politicians use party members in strategic City Power positions as proxies to milk the utility and fund political party activities. Now, a whistleblower has opened a criminal case with the Hawks against two politically connected City Power executives who extorted more than 2.5 million rand from a single contractor in the space of a year. In this case, you actually have the recipient of the contractor, the person who received the job, who's reported people from the utility. The officials, Marvin Baipe, he's a research and development general manager, and Thabang Mashishi is a supply chain manager. They're facing charges of extortion and interference with the tender process. They should have just waited for that other regulations that the finance minister is putting through. The whistleblower, who's an electrical engineer and formerly a City Power employee and now works as a contractor, says he fears for his life. He says they know which cars he drives, so he has to borrow cars because he's scared that there's going to be a hit on him. The extorters don't want a paper trail because, that could lead to commissions of inquiry. So what they do is because one of them works in supply chain, he knows exactly when he's getting paid. So they pitch up on the same day that they get paid and demand cash. They demanded 180,000 rand worth of cash. The guy had 160,000 only, so they beat him up because he didn't have the full amount of money. Now, a Johannesburg ANC regional executive member confirmed what the whistleblower had to say about political interference in these city entities. And I quote him here. He says there have been concerns about political interference in entities like the Johannesburg Development Agency, the Johannesburg Property Company, City Power, the Johannesburg Roads Agency, and Group Forensic Investigation Services. Right? The ANC's regional spokesman, however, denies that the party is involved in any improper conduct, as you would expect a spokesman to say. According to Mr. Nkosi, the ANC remains committed to lawful governance, accountability, transparency, and rejects any suggestion of institutional involvement in improper conduct. Really? You're really telling us that the ANC is clean? The other guy, the regional manager, said that the ANC are dirty. So you two, perhaps at your next party, Lekgotla, please discuss this. Allegedly, these two executives that have been suspended, Mr. Baipe and Mr. Mashishi, threatened to send hitmen and to kidnap the contractors' children from school. They demanded 2 million rand to suppress this article after they realized that he was going to go, but they had to pay a middleman 100,000 rand. Right? So now what they did is they demanded 2 million rand to not report the person they were extorting. Ironically, the middleman who then, this you can't make this kind of thing up. So the extorter is asking the contractor to pay 2 million rand. They then negotiate a deal through a middleman. The middleman takes 100,000 rand as a fee. And it turns out that the middleman is a former research and development manager who resigned last year after being found guilty of stealing electricity by bypassing connections at her property. So everybody's in on the game. I mean, I presume when you get your salary, it just is by the by. These two executives, Mr. Baipe and Mr. Mashishi, must have also attended the Paul Mashatile School of Business, because on their civil service salary, the one lives at the exclusive Eye of Africa estate, golf estate, country estate, and the other one runs multiple student accommodation businesses. You can make a lot of money by being a civil servant in this country and never see the inside of a jail. Apparently, they have been suspended, but City Power spokesman, because everybody needs a spokesman, Isaac Mangana, said that City Power have a zero tolerance to corruption. We've told you a story, and 3 people from City Power were all corrupt. But it does seem to be more accurate if Mr. Mangana said that City Power have a zero tolerance to stopping corruption. Maybe that would be a bit more accurate. The real question is, how do we get rid of companies like City Power? They just get in the middle, they do the job that either Eskom or the city would do anyway, and it's just a place for more and more corruption. Right, you know that we all know how poorly the South African economy is doing, but it's from that bad economy that opportunities have begun to emerge. And those opportunities are usually linked to failures by the state. Industries like solar power, it's called state-proofing your business. Borehole drillers, JoJo tank sellers, private schools. These are private hospitals. These are every job that we already pay the government to do on our behalf, but we know that they're not going to do it. So we pay other people to do. Now we can add yet another job. Obviously, we know about our flourishing security industry, which is because of our bad policing. But we have now got a flourishing bodyguard industry. This isn't just security, this is bodyguards. South African bodyguards had begun returning to South Africa from jobs that they were doing in Iraq, because they can earn more money being a bodyguard in South Africa than they can from being a bodyguard at a place that has been an active war zone for 25 years. Admittedly, sometimes people hire bodyguards not to keep them safe, but because they're a status symbol. But there is a genuine concern amongst business people, right? So it turns out that the bodyguards most in demand are the older, more experienced bodyguards. I wonder what that's code for. Many of those more experienced bodyguards are ex-policemen or members of the defunct South African Defence Force. I wonder who we talk about. But apparently there is a good idea in getting a more experienced bodyguard, because they'll be able to make better assessments. When you walk into the swanky restaurants, they'll be able to see who you should be avoiding, that kind of thing. There's apparently a vibrant market in threatening people into awarding tenders to their company, and that threat can extend to family members. So everybody's getting shaken down. So you need bodyguards no matter who you are. So you now have bodyguards driving with wives and children when they go to those fancy schools in those golfing estates. Then we have our burgeoning kidnapping business. We have more than 4,000 kidnappings per year, and that is up from less than 1/10 of that a year ago. Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal account for 71% of our kidnapping cases. If you needed a reason to get a bodyguard, just watch the Madlanga Commission, and you can watch live on television how bad our police force are. So nobody bothers to go to a police station. There's always been a problem with international companies. They need to ensure the safety of their people who come to work in South Africa. And of course, if there is a problem where some executive in an international company gets taken out in South Africa, they could have massive claims back in their home country. But I would say that before we criticize the ANC for being so bad at everything, let's understand that if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this massive industry that we all enjoy in state-proofing our lives. It's only the honest taxpayer or the poor people of this country who have to run the gauntlet of living under an incompetent government. On the plus side, we do have local government elections later on in the year. if you're enjoying this, or if you can't afford a bodyguard, perhaps you should consider who you're voting for. That's all from me today. Thank you for joining us on the Political Insider. We'll keep the news flowing. Thank you for joining us. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I will always answer you. Thank you so much. See you again soon.